Reign 4 of Star-Crossed Kings continues. Sib up against some pretty stacked opposition today. Just took down Jeslin 2-0 on Minsk Pocket, which is not easy. And now he will be forced to go up against Paul. We've got Paul playing as Soviets in the south, Sib playing as Overcommando West in the north of Angoville. We have indeed come back to Angoville. Always fun to return to this map. This is the only new map this patch that I've added to the tournament rotation so far. I have yet to be persuaded on the other maps. I don't know. I have to think about it. I have to think about it. I haven't played enough on the new maps to know really what I think of Bistraya Voda or Eindhoven Country. They seem like they have potential. It would be a fun change of pace. But I just don't know what I think about them yet. That being said, I've got Minsk Pocket and Stalingrad in the rotation, so I don't really know if I'm in a position to be nitpicking. So I don't know, maybe next week or in the coming days, maybe we'll change up the rotation a little bit to see some more maps. Could be fun. But either way, gonna have a Kuba wagon opening here from Sib going straight down the left side, try and work on this general area. Conscripts moving around behind the Kubel though to start working on the victory point. Combat engineers are going for this fuel, but Sturmpyos went straight for the right side cutoff and are trying to get wire up. It takes a really long time to build this though. He's ghosting it to just block pathing for now, but small arms fire can destroy those. Conscripts are going to encounter those Stern Pioneers with wire under construction, so they're going to have to pull back before they can finish building it and just take up a position inside that house. He will be able to protect those ghosts with the Kuba wagon. Maybe this falling dangerously low to small arms fire, though that really needs to pull back to safety. That was very risky. Left that exposed for quite a while. Conscripts will be able to destroy those easily. Small arms fire. Looking a little opening right there for later, just in case. Stern Pioneers leave their building and move to execute some repairs on the Kubel, while Volksgrenadiers maintain control of that structure. Paul has pretty good fuel control right now. Still has control of the right side fuel point, although it's cut off. He's not cut off on the left side fuel point, so Sib needs to work the cutoffs a little more, or work the fuel points directly. Kind of been forced off the field a little bit with his Kuba wagon taking a lot of damage there in the initial engagement without really having much of an impact. Conscripts here in green cover at this range. Probably going to lose to those Volksgrenadiers eventually. Getting picked off one by one, plus the Kuba wagon's repaired, making its way back to the front lines. Paul going with a 4 conscript opening. He's got mechanized support, shock rifle, and guard motor to Sib's scavenge fortifications and breakthrough. Same OKW loadout for Sib here in this series. Curious to see what Paul is going to decide on. No command points in the bank yet for either player, so no rush on picking a commander just yet. And we have yet to really see what commanders work really well on this map because of the kind of interesting dynamic it has with lots of buildings on the right and mostly open fields on the left. It has lots of mid and long range engagements, and you can make use of the building columns like Jaegerlights and Fallschirmjäger and stuff on this building, on this half of the map, but you won't be able to use them on the left half, so it kind of opens up a lot of options that are sort of viable, but nothing completely dominates for that particular feeling of the map. So we'll see what ends up being successful on Angoville over the course of the coming weeks. Stern Pioneers engaging these conscripts right here. Force a retreat. Stern Pioneers getting inside the building. Only have one model remaining. It's kind of risky. If a flamethrower is upgrading on this squad, it's not. But if it were, that would just be asking to get crit in one burst. He's gonna gamble though. He's gonna stick in that building for now. There, he changed his mind. Didn't like it. He was just biding time for Volksgrenadiers to secure building control. It doesn't have control of the cutoff right now. Paul still has pretty much excellent fuel control. Right side fuel point still decapped. Left side fuel point gonna be contested. Kuba wagon's in danger. It's trying to suppress one conscript squad. Another one moving up on the flank. It has to pull back to safety. And it looks like this fuel is gonna get decapped but not captured. Another squad of Volksgrenadiers working the right side, trying to get that fuel point under control. Two squads of conscripts moving up to assist in this engagement. Nice merge. Very nice merge. Volksgrenadiers have to retreat, and these three squads are going to try and maintain fuel control over there on the right side, while this squad of conscripts works to the left. That squad of Volksgrenadiers had to retreat. This one may or may not be able to engage safely against these conscripts, depending on range and cover. Right here on the right side, Volksgrenadiers will get pushed away, and we have Mechanized Regiment HQ from Sib here in the back. Going to utilize that to repair his Kubel a little bit, and try and use the Kubel to push away this infantry on the right side, try and win an engagement against these conscripts over here. Maybe clean up that flamethrower. Try and get... Wow, what was that? One burst from the Kubel wagon. It wasn't even set up completely. Flamethrower just pops for no reason. Man, that's just so... It's just so unpredictable. You never know when that's going to happen. Just boom, your flamethrower's gone. He got pretty... no value out of that. I don't know, he had one engagement. He only got one engagement out of that flamethrower. One engagement, and he's got 3 kills. I don't know, that's kind of a lot of munitions down the drain, but he's got great map control if he can maintain that. That would be good. Conscripts engaging Volksgrenadiers over here on the left side. These conscripts going to retreat away from the Kubel wagon, which is also up to Vet 1 now. Stern Pioneers moving to engage, but they will not get building control. Flamethrower hops inside the house. Flamethrower will scare them away. Flak half-track is on the field, scares away the conscripts over there on the left side. Paul probably thinking now about getting AT grenades to react to that. He's also gone tier 2 here. He'll be able to get a field gun pretty soon. Flak half-track with Volksgrenadier support working the left flank. Volksgrenadiers, Kubel wagon, and Sturms working the right flank. Sib splitting his forces all over the map trying to get fuel control. He has not held a fuel point for this entire game. If he can take control of the right side fuel here with these Sturms, that'll be the first time in 8 minutes, an 8-minute game, that he's even managed to take one fuel point. Really behind in that regard. Paul may be thinking about capitalizing on his fuel lead. He'll be able to build tier 3 soon. He needs to continue to hold the fuels, though, if he wants to really impact the field hard with a T-70 or T-34. Against Flak half-track, a tank could certainly be a good choice. Stalling for Collins, maybe not so much. He's blobbing a little hard over here. He's going to get suppressed by that Kubel if he doesn't split. There he goes. Flamethrower splitting up over here, trying to go around the north flank. Conscripts drawing fire. Stern Pioneers finally capture a fuel point, also working to the left with these Volksgrenadiers. Paul devoting almost all forces over here to the right side. He does see an SWS in the area, so he knows his opponent is probably thinking about setting up another tech structure. 5 fuel away from battle group headquarters if that's the route he decides to take. Anti-tank grenade just connected with this flak half-track right here. Conscripts getting into dangerously close range, trying to take the damage, soak up fire. One more conscript squad on its way. This could take this thing out. Nice flank. There it is, out of control. Nice play by Paul. Getting in position with those 3 AT grenades to take that thing down, and now his field gun was moving up to seal the deal as well, just in case. It wasn't really necessary in the end, but it's still nice to have this thing on the field to put pressure on Upper Commander West trucks from range. There's the battle group headquarters going up right there, and it's also I think we've seen Paul utilize team weapons for backcapping sometimes, so might be able to do some backcapping with that. He won't want to overextend it way over here on the left side, but maybe he could use it to take a victory point right here or something like that. Try and keep it relevant when it's not in combat. And some players just leave a field gun in their base when they don't need it. We've seen Captain Price doing that. Just makes AT guns and just keeps them in his base until they are needed. AT gun wheeled through the arch here with flamethrower support, trying to put pressure on Sib a little bit. Sib has managed to take control of both fuel points temporarily, now losing control of the left side because he's lost his flak half-track.
Command half-track has been permanently established as a static post. Grenadiers back.
Conscripts set up here in yellow cover. Urang outside the arc of fire of that MG34. Needs suppression sources to deal with Paul's infantry and flamethrowers. Flak half-track dead. He's going to have to fall back on this fortifications commander pick a little bit. Fortunately, he does have the battle group up over here. He can reinforce in the field. He's got a little bit of cover constructed. He's got a lot of screening infantry. Those conscripts will be forced to retreat through their own Molotov. One crit, they'll otherwise be fine. Flamethrowers close the gap, begin to engage, but they are getting burst by the MG34. They're going to be suppressed and forced to retreat. The field gun is trying to get in position on the Kuba wagon, but Sib's monitoring that carefully. Nice play by Sib to keep his Kuba wagon behind a vision blocker. Very nice. And he can continue to suppress Paul's infantry here. AT gun is going to have to pull back to the base. Looks like this push has generally failed. Sib will be able to hold the line over here on the right side, but that squad on the left is going to continue taking territory and harassing and boosting Paul's economy. And he already has a bit of an economic lead in destroying that flak half-track. Now there's shock troops on the field, 4 cons, 2 flamethrowers. Uh-oh, that's not good though. Oh, he should have pulled that back to safety. Oh, that's going to get salvaged, I think. Or stolen. Stolen. That is a huge, huge win for Sib if that gets to safety. He's taking a bit of a risk by trying to steal it rather than salvage it and just get rid of it. Shock troops might be able to take it back. I don't know. Kuba wagon moving to support. Volksgrenadiers moving for building control right here. When he sees the shock troops coming, he moves back away from the building because he's not going to be able to hold a building against shock troops for any reasonable amount of time. Good positioning on the Kuba wagon right there. Will suppress the shock troops in their initial engagement. Volksgrenadiers working on the fuel point over here. Sturm Pioneers catch conscripts in the road, by the way. They're going to be forced to retreat. Nice play there with the Sturms. Shock troops get unsuppressed thanks to the smoke grenade, anti-tank grenade from conscripts get into close range, and the Kuba wagon is destroyed. We'll provide a smoke screen right here for a brief amount of time. Molotov being tossed on the MG34 over there. Flamethrower firing on these Volksgrenadiers. Very intense engagement here. Another squad of conscripts moving up into the strategic point. Only one MG34 available right now. Second MG34 being fielded, but it's currently harassing the left side and cannot contribute to the defense of the right. Sturm Pioneers will push away that squad of conscripts. Shock troops moving up into close range. This is mostly just Volksgrenadiers and team weapons. Oh, that grenade toss saves him. Saves him big time. Takes out 3 models. Flamethrowers overextended and gets wiped. 1 squad wipe there for Sib, no squad wipes for Paul. So overall, I would say the engagement goes to Sib, and he's managed to start taking control of the left side. Paul is now going to field a mortar to try and keep up the pressure. He wasn't really able to break through and seal the deal on his opponent, get any good wipes, garner really much of a lead. Very lethal engagements. If you look at model losses, we're gonna see that Sib is actually way in the lead, but he's fighting against conscripts, so in bigger squad sizes, that's not probably not, slightly misleading figures. Not to mention, Paul has destroyed a flak half track that's not really reflected in these numbers that well either. So still pretty even. Pretty even.
Tanks are now available to burn the Germans back to Berlin. Contact with the enemy. The enemy still has 300 points.
MG34 just slowly harassing the left side solo. Interesting to use an MG34 for harassment rather than a Volksgrenadier squad. On the one hand, it's weird to use a team weapon for harassment, but on the other hand, it kind of makes sense since that's actually the cheapest squad that Sib can field. He's actually sending one of the cheapest squads he can make as a backcapping squad, which makes sense. It always makes sense to send your cheap squads to backcap because they represent a small manpower investment, and you can try and get some territory under control that way. Conscripts moving to harass will get caught by the MG34 and countered, probably pinned and forced to retreat, so the MG34 is doing quite well for harassment over there on the left side. Meanwhile, engagements continue to be kind of back and forth a little over here on the right. Paul may try to be a little bit less aggressive this time, maybe just try and take control of the fuel point without pushing too aggressively straight in here. We're going to see incendiary artillery dropped on all this stuff. Ooh, that was a pretty nasty spread. Look at that spread. That did serious damage. 300 manpower has been dropped here by Sib on a forward retreat point, which means that he doesn't have that much of a chunky force. That's why Paul kind of has shock troops, all these conscripts. He just walked through his own fire, though. I don't think he should close this gap. I don't think he'll win. He's not in the arc of fire of a machine gun right now. Grenades off target, though, and Sturm Pioneers will force that retreat. Mortar moves up to capture the fuel point. We still have conscripts in this building providing vision for that mortar, but it hasn't fired anything yet. Shock troops are forced to retreat. This blob is going to force the mortar to retreat, but he does decapture the fuel. That's only worth so much when the left side fuel's been harassed by this lone MG34. 2 squads of conscripts being dedicated to counter there on the right side. Good call by Paul. He needs to get that fuel back under control, keep his income strong, keep his opponent's income down. He's going to have an IS-2 very soon. He just needs to float up the manpower, and that's one of the reasons I think that he's going to engage less lethally now. Moving to do counter harassment and capping, trading of territory over here on the left side, while he waits for his IS-2 to arrive. Setting up cover, stalling, trying not to bleed too much manpower if he can avoid it. Meanwhile, Sib has been bleeding manpower like crazy, has a lot of reinforcement to do. He has 3 Panzerschrecks and a field gun. The stolen field gun is going to be a very powerful tool to counter the IS-2 once it arrives. MG34 retreats from the left side. These 2 squads are going to start getting the victory point and fuel back under their control. Paul's just going to continue to stall here on the munitions for a little while. He'll be forced to retreat soon. There are storms in his retreat path, so he may not want to stick around too long, but he's picking off a couple Folks Grenadiers. It's not too urgent of a situation. These 2 squads making their way back to the right side. I'm sure Paul is really wishing he had not lost that field gun, though. If that had not happened, Paul would be in such a strong position right now. But it did. And that's going to be a really powerful weapon. I don't know what they're doing. I didn't realize you could go through this hedge. Interesting. I guess they're going to try and wire that off. Shock troops move up to engage Folks Grenadiers here, taking a bit of damage from PPSHs at short range. Mortar moving to take the victory point back. Conscripts working the left side. The second squad of conscripts making its way back towards this area to support in engagements, and the IS-2 is on the field. And I almost wonder if Paul should have gone KV-8 when he had 9 command points, because a KV-8 being hurled into this, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. 3 Panzerschrecks and a field gun is plenty of defense for 1 KV-8. Conscripts are about to engage. Folks Grenadiers on the left. Grenade being tossed. Oh, he didn't dodge. Paul did not dodge the grenade. Sib does dodge the Molotov and wins the engagement. That should have gone to Paul, but he wasn't paying quite close enough attention to that engagement. Lets it go to his opponent, and the left side is going to get harassed by Sib now. Until a squad is dedicated to counter. 1 squad of conscripts is on its way to push those Folks Grenadiers away. Should be able to do so easily enough. IS-2 has moved to engage here, but it's in front of a field gun. It can't stay in front of that field gun forever. Shots are all bouncing so far. Sid fielding a Jagdpanzer to give himself a little bit more anti-tank firepower. You can already see how the IS-2 has to be so much more careful with that field gun on the field than if that had not gotten stolen. It makes so much difference for Sib. Not to mention it saves him the manpower of fielding a Raketenwerfer, which wouldn't even perform as well. Paul has to manage the threat of that field gun much more carefully. He's just trying to pick off Folks Grenadiers, but so far he hasn't gotten a single kill. There it goes, finally! IS-2 refuses to hit anything sometimes. 4 shots before it even hit a single infantry model. There goes that Folks Grenadier squad will be forced to retreat. More Folks Grenadiers are trying to get sight for the Zis. Wants to get shots off. Mortars moving up into short range. IS-2 is going to pull back to safety. 2 shots penetrate in a row, and that's going to be forced off the field for repairs. Mortar is available here. If he fires that on the battle group headquarters, a precision strike, for example, right there, it could be really nasty, but it looks like it's bombarding the field gun for right now. IS-2 receiving repairs from 2 combat engineer squads over here on the right side. Paul continuing to harass the left. This squad of Folks Grenadiers is probably going to make its way back over to the left soon. One of the nice things about going tier 3 on this map, if you can get a T-70 out in addition to your call-ins to bridge the gap and preserve it for the entire game, it gives you a really powerful counter-harassment unit that you can use on the flanks to shut down harassment attempts by lone infantry squads, but because he decided to go straight for the IS-2. He didn't have to, but he decided to. He's got 160 fuel in the bank. He probably could have managed tier 3. He wouldn't have his IS-2 yet, but he would have had T-70 for quite some time now. It would give him some nice counter-harassment potential. Jagdpanzer flying through the hedge, gets a nice shot off on the IS-2. It's got to pull back a little bit to continue its repairs. Meanwhile, over here, Volksgrenadiers are losing against conscripts. They should get away, I think. Paul's chasing. They're gonna cross red cover, right? No, it's not red cover. It's open ground. They'll be fine, I think. Barely. IS-2 continues to engage over here carefully with the Jagdpanzer and field gun. Sib has a very powerful anti-tank arsenal to deal with Paul's IS-2. I'm not even sure that this blocks vision anymore. It looks like it's been destroyed. Field gun moving up. The tree looks like it does. Field gun getting a little too close. IS-2 shot misses, fortunately. Conscripts and flamethrower moving up. Oh, there it goes. Just got decrewed. This is a bit of an opening. Very quickly gets recrewed by those Volksgrenadiers, though. And over here on the left side, Stern Pioneers just wiped a squad of conscripts, I think? I don't actually know what just got wiped. Oh no, the announcer was talking about the field gun. Never mind. No squad wipes. Shock troops moving up on Stern Pios over here on the left. I think they'll win this. I don't know. They take a model loss on the approach. Stern Pioneers do need to reposition out of the engagement, though. I don't know. It's going to be close. Stern Pios win. Wow. Conscripts providing vision and harassment over here on the left side. More conscripts force a retreat from that Stern Pio squad. Sib is doing good victory point management over here. He's got a serious deficit, 200 victory points behind, but he does take control of the right side VP here for at least a short time. Get the clock stopped for now. Paul continues to apply a lot of pressure on Sib's defensive position here on the northeast victory point. Mortar is Vet 1. Incendiary artillery falling in this area. Anti-tank grenade damages the Jagdpanzer's engine. This could be a dangerous situation, and he's very vulnerable right now with this tier 4 structure still under construction. Don't know if Paul has spotted that. That's a little out of his vision range. Incendiary artillery falling in this area. It looks like it didn't have too dramatic of an impact other than light damage to that MG-34. Conscripts engaging these Volksgrenadiers here in the building. Meanwhile, harassment engagement happening over here on the left between these two squads. I don't know if either of them is monitoring that right now, trying to manage this engagement on the right side. Tier 4 structure is about to complete. It should be fine. Jagdpanzer still has a damaged engine. Stern Pioneers are on their way to get the repairs done. Mortar falling in the area, but it looks like the mortar is about to get screened away by Volksgrenadiers while the IS-2 is pulled back for some repairs. The engagement has calmed down a little bit. A lot of veterancy in Sib's army. Paul struggling to wipe any squads. He can't seem to get any of that veterancy off the field. Not getting any miracle wipes with his IS-2. But he is going to win the engagement for the left side with 2 squads of conscripts forcing a retreat from that Volksgrenadier squad. Constantly maintaining the pressure here on the right side while also winning all lone harassment engagements there on the left. Dedicating just enough forces to take territory and win engagements at optimal speed, and then make his way back over here towards the right side to keep putting pressure on Sib, trying to box him in, trying to make big plays, take out priority targets. So far, hasn't been able to take out anything too serious, but he does maintain his victory point lead. There's a lot of pressure on Sib, and Sib has basically no fuel, having gone tier 4, which means that the King Tiger is not going to arrive for a really long time. It's only 10 fuel coming in right now. Every time he loses control of that fuel point, he may consider going for Pack 43, but his manpower can't really currently support that. Trying to maintain this army is costing him a lot of manpower. Every time he loses squad members, he just has to spend a lot on reinforcement. He will have a very high vet core of Volksgrenadiers, though. Grenade tossed on the mortar. It'll be fine though. It's going to retreat just to reinforce and heal regardless. Second IS-2 is now on the field. This could be very difficult for Sib to deal with. He does still have the field gun, 4 Panzerschrecks, Jagdpanzer, but 2 IS-2s is a scary force to contend with. Conscripts moving up on the left flank of these Sturmpyos. Nice. I'm not sure Sib is monitoring that. There he goes. He will react in time to save that squad. Losing Sturm Pioneers can be devastating, and it's very important to preserve them. Just as important as preserving your infantry squads, if not more so, because of their very high manpower price tag, especially when you're trying to float up 500 for a Pack 43. You're desperately reinforcing squads for the entire game. You can't really afford to lose your repairing squad that costs 320 manpower to replace. Jagdpanzer still not even Vet 1 despite getting a lot of shots off on these IS-2s. Paul's getting quite a few lucky bounces here. Shock troops will be forced to retreat there on the left side by sustained Volksgrenadier fire. And the left side victory point has been harassed by a lone MG34 and is going to set up in green cover. But two squads of conscripts, again, on their way to continually just maintains control of the left side with just those two squads of conscripts. Every time he chases off harassment, he rotates back towards the center. Still has a big victory point lead of about 200 points. If he can keep up the pressure for the rest of the game, he should be able to win this, but he needs to be careful not to let that Jagdpanzer get too much vet. A high vet Jagdpanzer is a really serious problem, even for two IS-2s. Doesn't look like Paul is monitoring the right side, the left side engagement though. He's gonna lose a full squad to an MG34. Oh no, he wasn't watching. Too busy monitoring this engagement for the right side, and finally his counter harassment on the left gets shut down just by a lone harassing MG. That field gun might get destroyed. If that happens, that would be a good win for Paul, but he doesn't want to stay in the Jagdpanzer's arc of fire for too long. There's a Molotov to try and turn this engagement back in his favor. Vet 5 MG34 now, wow, with 19 kills. Repositions, and Volksgrenadiers are going to be able to win the engagement over here. He may be forced to send his shock troops over there to the left side now that he's kind of messed up that counter-harassment attempt for the left side. Needs to dedicate more forces, and that relieves a lot of pressure from the right for Sib. That is a very, very good thing that happened for Sib over there on the left side. Paul not paying attention is going to make things much easier here outside of Sib's base, since 3 squads are now being dedicated to the left to make sure that they maintain control of this territory. Paul will continue to contend for the right with nothing but field gun, Jagdpanzer, and Panzerschrecks. Incendiary artillery, just for good measure. Oh, that could be a wipe! That's a wipe! All flame critted to death so quick. Vet 5 MG34 disappears in the blink of an eye, and I think that gun's going to get stolen. That's the danger, by the way, of harassing with a machine gun, is you risk it getting stolen and giving a bit of a manpower boost to your opponent, which you certainly don't want to happen. Volksgrenadiers retreat a little on the late side. They really were not going to be able to recover that. So, Paul loses a full squad of conscripts on the left a little while ago, but in exchange he earns himself an MG34, so really I don't know whose favor the engagements over there are going in. Only 200 points now remain for Sib. He needs to continue to defend himself. He needs to continue working the left side, try and crank up the harassment a little bit. He's struggling. Oh, nice pickup right there though. His Vet 5 Sturmpile is a close range, pick up another conscript squad. And Paul's gonna have trouble replacing losses. This is still an expensive army to maintain, even after the squad wipes. Incendiary artillery on the second MG34 over there will prompt it to reposition. 1 crit, but other than that, no serious losses. I don't think a 3-man shock troop squad can win this engagement. They're still suppressed. Too late to toss a smoke grenade. He'll have to retreat and send some fresh forces over there to deal with that issue. IS-2 not being sent to the left side at any point during this game. You might consider doing that if he wants to maybe try and wipe one of those squads on a retreat if he sends both IS-2s, but of course if he leaves this position with his tanks, then he's going to lose this victory point. I don't think that those Volksgrenadiers stand any real chance of capturing that sector. Nearly getting wiped right there. And And Sib just keeps vetting up that Jagdpanzer. It's just going to get stronger and stronger. Honestly, by the time it's vet 2, it can become almost impossible to destroy. It is a requirement, pretty much, at this point, to damage its engine somehow and flank it with armor. Without medium armor, that's very difficult to accomplish. If he just tries to brute force it to death from the front with his IS-2s, he may struggle, because he can't push aggressively into it. Too many Panzerschrecks and the field gun protecting his flank. Engagement is managed a little more carefully this time by Paul over here on the right side. Uraz nicely gets the flank going. Stolen MG34 contributing as well. If he sets the stolen MG34 up over here on the left side, he may be able to protect this a little bit more securely, prevent harassment a little better. IS-2's moving to engage those Sturmpyos and Volksgrenadiers. The victory point has actually been taken by Sib here, and he's got a triple cap going against his opponent, which he very much needs. Nice play by Sib to work those victory points, even in the face of 2 IS-2s, and get that clock ticking against Paul a little bit. But there's the first squad wipe, finally. First Volksgrenadier squad wipe of the game. IS-2 manages to make it happen, nails them. And Sib's front line is just weakening a little bit here. There goes the field gun. Jagdpanzer is pulled way back over here. It's a little bit stranded. It doesn't have anywhere to go. It's cornered. Fortunately, Paul does not want to make an aggressive maneuver against it. Continues to play very safe. He's not going to overextend these IS-2s. These are too big of an investment that he can't afford not to protect. Shock troops moving up on the Volksgrenadiers over there on the left side. Nice positioning on those shocks. That's going to force some retreats. Grenade toss brings some of the shocks down. IS-2 dealing some damage to those Volksgrenadiers in kind. They're all going to be forced to retreat. Mortars and mines in the area, forcing some retreats as well. Stern Pioneers getting a little exposed though. Jagdpanzer moving up to try and get a little bit of extra damage. Hasn't even taken any damage at all, in fact. And the left side actually went to Sib. Apparently Paul could not win the engagement for the left with what he had over here. I thought he could, but apparently not. And I think Sib sees an opening here. He looks like he wants to make something happen against this IS-2. He's extending that thing hard though. If he gets engine damage in this position, he could be in a lot of danger. Stern Pioneers pick up the mortar though. Nice play on that mortar. He's gonna salvage that while he has an opening here. IS-2 has its rear armor exposed to the Jagdpanzer, but it's pulling back. No longer wants to overextend that. Volksgrenadier support has also been pushed away. Got a little bit of damage, a little bit of vet during that. This IS-2 has 51 kills. Oh my goodness. 15 and 51. That is crazy. I can't believe that it has 51 kills, but only one squad has even been wiped by it. That's how much manpower he's been bleeding. Jeez.
Target captured. Big defense position established. Taking fire!
IS-2's firing at Volksgrenadiers. They're forced to retreat. Jagdpanzer firing at that IS-2. You can see that the Jagdpanzer helps manage the threat of the IS-2s, but it can't really just take them down quick in a scary fashion in the way like a Jagdtiger or a Pak-43 can. IS-2s are just really difficult for OKW to kill. You pretty much need engine damage. Similarly, the Jagdpanzer is really difficult for Soviets to kill. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good design. It means if both players are playing carefully, really trying to win, which both of these players clearly are, you end up with a pretty intense game. The difference between the two, of course, is that the Jagdpanzer can't bleed infantry like crazy. MG34 will retreat from the left side, and the VP will get harassed again. Some fresh conscript squads over here on the left side are available to participate here. Stern Pioneers getting too close are in trouble. If they get too close to that IS-2, they're a little clumped right there. No miracle hits though. IS-2 pulling, or no, field gun pulling back to a more safe position, and Sib actually has a little bit more anti-tank firepower on the field now. He's finally collected the fuel for a Panther, held on to this territory for just long enough. A Panther and a Jagdpanzer on the field. This Jag, by the way, Vet 3, is going to give him a lot of firepower which to deal with these two IS-2s. Still no Pack 43, which I don't know if he wants to get at all. He obviously could have by now if he dropped 490 on a manpower, got the Panther instead of a Pack 43. Looks like this engagement will go to those conscripts. Should be able to get that victory point back under control, but the right side victory point is now falling into Sib's hands. Things generally going in Sib's favor more often than they're going in Paul's favor, and the victory point lead is shrinking here in the late game. He's now only about 130 points ahead of his opponent. Lost about 70 of his original 200 victory point lead. And the back and forth of this game could end up getting close by the end of things. Not particularly likely that a triple cap's going to get set up on either side of this. Jagdpanzer, Panther, Panzer Shreks all set up nicely for that push. May see Paul forced to get another field gun if he wants to put proper amount of pressure, infantry-based pressure on these two tank/tank destroyers. There's a Vet 4 Jagdpanzer. That thing he's gotten so much value out of that. A Vet 4 Jagdpanzer has no kills, but just so much damage output on these IS-2s. Constant pressure. And he can relieve a lot of the pressure on himself just by forcing those IS-2s to pull back for repair, even if he can't destroy them. And that alone gives him a lot of time to turn things around, get the victory points under control for himself. IS-2s don't have the superior range of the Jagdpanzer, so they just have to be very careful about how they engage, try and continue bleeding Sib's infantry to the best of their ability. We've got 60 kills on this, 17 on that one right there. Grenade being tossed over here by the Volksgrenadiers gets dodged. Shock troops will get that territory securely under their control. Conscripts gonna set up in green cover. MG-34 set up right here to work on infantry to get too close. Field gun moving up, taking shots at the Panther right there. Still no wipes. I think it's a good sign this patch that you can see a game go this long with barely any squad wipes at all. And almost every squad wipe I've seen has been due to an overextension or inattentiveness, the mistakes of the player. Almost no just random wipes, just one squad full health just vaporized instantly. They always seem to survive with just a little health remaining. The player has the opportunity to pull back, reinforce, repair, or heal. And that's good. That makes for good games. Although it is proving difficult for Sib to manage these IS-2s with his infantry. He definitely needs that Jagdpanzer and Panther to push those things away before he advances with his Volksgrenadiers, or he just takes a ton of bleed. He has collected the manpower for the Pack 43 right here. Finally, throws that up by his battle group headquarters. Paul has plenty of munitions to clear that thing out with incendiary artillery. He will discover it now, and he also gets himself up to 65 kills right there. I think his IS-2's in a little bit of danger. He needs to pull back to safety right now. Pack 43 switches targets. Wow, Jagdpanzer hit just bounced. Oh, bounced twice in a row. Wow. Oh man, Paul is so lucky. So lucky that IS-2 is alive right now. He got a lucky break with 2 Jagdpanzer bounces in a row. Probably a little bit frustrating for Sib, but he'll have other opportunities to take that thing out. Shock troops move up to engage. Meanwhile, over here, Volksgrenadiers on the flank of these conscript squads. 2 squads of Volksgrenadiers being dedicated. That's a pretty significant portion of his infantry forces. By the way, if you look, there's barely any anti-infantry left here for Sib. He's pretty much operating on a machine gun, a Vet 5 squad of Sternpios, and the top mount machine gun, and of course the tier 4 structure. He's got, you know, an okay anti-infantry force, but nothing that can really stand up to a really scary, like... Oh no! Look at that! Oh, I think that's gonna be a wipe! That's a wipe! Nice incendiary artillery right there. Sib just couldn't dodge that or react in time. I don't know if he took a grenade. I wasn't monitoring the engagement, but that hurts. That is very painful to lose that Vet 5 Volksgrenadier Panzerschreck squad. Stolen MG34 in this building, putting pressure on those Volksgrenadiers. Grenade gets... Ooh, I thought it was getting dodged, but it was actually thrown at the field gun. Nice mind games right there. The IS-2s have both been fully repaired way back in the safety of the base. Meanwhile, this one actually is going over here to the left side. We could see another wipe. We might be looking at a second wipe. This could be huge. Oh, IS-2 misses its shot. Oh, any second, the top mount machine gun's gonna finish that squad off. There it goes. That's the wipe. 2 wipes on the left. Nice counter harassment by that IS-2 right there. That puts Sib in a very rough position. Plus, he just dropped 390 manpower on a Stuka. I don't know what I think about that. If he doesn't spend some on replacement infantry, he's gonna get overwhelmed. It's just a matter of time. If he doesn't replace some of those losses. Jagdpanzer looks for an opportunity here on the left side. He's got a super high rate of fire at its current veterancy level, but because of the its kind of unique vision pattern, it actually has a little trouble spotting for itself, I think. Maybe not at that veterancy, but regardless, I don't think it's going to be able to chase down and kill that IS-2. Another one's moving up to screen. Stuka coming in over here on the field gun, I think. Just hit a combat engineer squad. IS-2, why would that IS-2 re-engage? Oh, pull back, Paul! What was that? I don't know why he would do that. Still, with a Vet 3 IS-2 over here, this could be dicey for Sib. I don't really know how that engagement's going to go. Another engagement for the victory point. Jagdpanzer can't seem to get enough firepower off, and there it is! Frontal penetration! Even on a Vet 5 Jagdpanzer, he just couldn't outmaneuver that IS-2. Paul fully committed to the engagement, and it does go in his favor thanks to the immense firepower of that Vet 3 IS-2. This game, a Vet 3 IS-2 wiping squads, taking out a Vet 5 Jagdpanzer. So much veterancy accrued for the climactic final engagement. Paul had the resources for another heavy tank, and this Panther wanted to trade, but it exposes its rear armor to the other IS-2 here. I think we're looking at GG. Main gun destroyed, but it does not matter. There it goes. Panther destroyed. Paul was watching his own resources. He knew what he had available to him over there on the left side. Saw an opening against that Jagdpanzer. Moved. I think he could have kept that tank alive. It wasn't really necessary to throw that away, but he fully committed to the engagement. Took out the Jagd. Took out the Panther. Sib is down to nothing but a Stuka and a Pak-43. Once those priority targets get wiped off the field, I think we're looking at the end of the game. Sib has a brief window of victory point control right now, but I don't expect that to last much longer. We're going to see that IS-2 get repaired. The fresh IS-2 is making its way to the front lines to push away infantry. Great opening shot right there. Stern Pioneers look like they might get wiped. Probably doesn't want to advance that into the arc fire of the Pak-43 if he can avoid it, although it's currently pointed a little to the left right now. Fresh Volksgrenadier squad's going to get easily pushed away by the shock troops. If they don't retreat immediately, they could get wiped. Kind of a late retreat. He was trying to land a grenade, but it just wasn't going to happen. They're going to get away, though, I think. Shock troops moving to take control of the strategic point over here. Once this Vet 3 IS, 71 kills, 71 kill IS-2. Once that gets repaired over there on the right side, plus demo charge in the victory point, lots of defenses, just lots of stuff that Sib has to deal with, and he just doesn't have the tools anymore. His Jagdpanzer's dead, his Panther's dead. He had a brief opening where it looked like I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but he just had Paul just had too much of an economic advantage. That's how important map control is. Paul has held this giant block of territory over here and half of the right. Sib has just been behind. And over the course of a 45-minute game, plus the Over Commando West inherent fuel penalty, it's just too much. You have to take map control sooner or you will get overwhelmed. You cannot survive for 45 minutes on this tiny amount of map control. There goes another squad wipe. That mine just exploded and did nothing. I see this bug almost every day now. I really hope that gets fixed. It almost seems more frequent this patch than before, which, I don't know, it's probably just confirmation bias now that I know what to look for. Fortunately, it makes no difference into the outcome of this game. There you have it. Good game. That was a crazy game one. 45-minute brutal slugfest between IS-2s and Jagdpanzer. Really nice harassment and counter-harassment, counterplay, play and counterplay happening for the left side. Really intense pushes and engagements for the right. Intense defense. Sib just couldn't quite make it work. When he was trying to get aggressive and shut down those IS-2s, he lost due to a combination of overextension and economics. So, lots of interesting stuff this game. Very fun. Good game. Short break, and we will jump into game 2.